These are 5 players you need to start and 5 players you need to sit in NFL Week 3. And disclaimer before the video, the starters are going to be players that, you might not normally be starting depending on the week. It just really depends. But these are going to be guys that are kind of sleeper guys that normally don't start for you that I think you should be starting. And then the sit guys are going to be more players that you would normally be starting, but I think you should probably sit them this week. And again, if you want sports betting advice or fantasy football advice, click the link in my bio to join my sports betting community. And yeah, without further ado, let's get to the video. Alrighty, we'll start with the starters. The first player up I got is Jordan Mason versus the Cincinnati Bengals. So I think this is a great matchup for Jordan Mason against my Bengals. We have struggled against the run. In the first 2 games, we haven't been great. Stopping the pass, we haven't been great stopping the run. It's just when you're playing the Bengals, you're going to score a lot of points. You're going to have a lot of scoring opportunities. And yeah, this is a great opportunity for Jordan Mason. Like I said, the running backs against us have done pretty solid so far, and I would definitely not expect that. I would definitely expect him to have a very good day against us. He is also the starter now with Aaron Jones hurt, so make sure to get Jordan Mason into your lineup. The next starter up is Drake May versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Drake May had a great week last week. He actually dropped, I think it was 26 fantasy points on ESPN at least. Obviously, it might be different for your app or whatever, but he dropped 26 fantasy points, had a fantastic day. And now he gets to go against the Steelers, who have been atrocious defensively, not only against the pass, but also the run. And this is just got to be a great opportunity for him. I think, he's thrown for, almost 600 yards already this season. And I would definitely expect kind of a similar performance here from him in this game. I think they're going to have to pass. And yeah, I think this is just going to be fantastic matchup for Drake May, and he's got a very good fantasy day. The next player up I got is Travis Etienne, and he is going against the Houston Texans. So got a little interdivision rivalry here. But Etienne has looked fantastic. Of course, there's no Tank Bigsby anymore, so he is literally just the guy, and he has looked great so far. Had obviously a crazy game 1 where he had like 160 rushing yards. And then week 2, he went against my Bengals, also had another very good fantasy day. And Houston has struggled immensely against the run. We saw Bucky Irving go off on Monday Night Football against them. And then the week before that, Houston couldn't really stop Kyron Williams. So far, every running back that's gone against Houston has scored at least 15 fantasy points. And I would expect another similar output here from Travis Etienne. Alrighty, next player up I got is Dak Prescott versus the Chicago Bears. This is a great matchup against the Bears, who have struggled against the pass so far this year. They haven't been like atrociously awful, but their defense is trying. We saw them last week. I will say they were atrociously awful, and then week 1 they were playing against JJ McCarthy. So it can't be too hard to slow him down. But yeah, Dak Prescott, of course, we saw him last week look great against the Giants. Now he goes to Chicago. This should be a competitive game, very close game. I would expect him to pass it quite a bit. And like I said, we just saw Jared Goff just absolutely shred the Lions. And this is got to be another really good matchup for Dak Prescott. And then that leads me to my next player, Javonte Williams versus the Chicago Bears. Again, like I said, Chicago has, of course, struggled against the pass, but the run, they've been even worse against that. We saw Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery. They had a fantastic game against the Bears. We also saw in week 1, Jordan Mason also had a really good game against the Bears that week. So far, Chicago has not shown really great defense on either side of the ball, but I think this is just going to be another great opportunity for Javonte Williams to get into the end zone, to have a good, again, he has a great matchup. And yeah, this is going to be a really high-scoring game that I think Javonte Williams has got to thrive in. Alrighty, now we are on to the sits. My first sit, the first player that I believe should not be in your lineup is going to be J.K. Dobbins versus the Los Angeles Chargers. This is a very bad matchup. The Chargers have, of course, the first 2 games just completely clamped up the run game. We saw him against, of course, Ashton Jeanty. Again, could not get anything going really against them. And again, part of this is because the offense is so good for the Chargers that you have no choice but to pass against them. And so it just leads to less running attempts. And like I said, when they do get running attempts, they haven't been great. And then we saw in obviously week 1, Pacheco had a very bad game. He had like 25 rushing yards against the Chargers. And yeah, this is just a horrible matchup for J.K. Dobbins. And I think he is going to definitely take a step back in this game. And then if we go to the other side of the ball, we got Quentin. My next sit is going to be Quentin Johnson versus Denver. So Johnson, in his first 2 games has had some very high scoring games. But most of this is because he's scored some touchdowns in those games, and it's time now. He goes against one of the toughest secondaries in the NFL with Pat Surtain, and some of those guys in Denver. This has got to be a tough matchup for him. I think we're gonna see him. I don't think he's got to find the end zone again in this game. And like I said, he has a horrible matchup against a very good pass defense. And Quentin Johnson is not gonna have a good day. And then my next sit is David Montgomery versus Baltimore. I think this is gonna be a very high scoring game, a lot of passing. Baltimore has been pretty good against the run so far this season. They haven't been the best, but it's more just the actual script of this game is going to be a lot of passing back and forth. There's not gonna be a whole lot of running, especially from the Lions. I think this is a game they might have to play from behind. And overall, I don't think David Montgomery is a good start. My next player up is going to be Jordan Love versus the Cleveland Browns. Now, I know last week Lamar just shredded the Browns with 4 touchdown passes. I mean, it was ridiculous, okay? But I think this is going to be a very different game. I think, first of all, Cleveland has not been great against the run. I think this should be a good opportunity for, Josh Jacobs, to get going in this game. I think this is going to be a blowout. And yeah, I just don't see Jordan Love having to pass the ball a lot. And that's something we saw from Lamar Jackson. He did not have a lot of passing yards against Cleveland. Although he had the touchdowns, that's kind of how it panned out. And I don't think that's going to be the case for Jordan Love. And I would say sit Jordan Love this week. And then my final sit of the video is Tyrone Tracy versus the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are not the greatest run-stopping team, but this is a game where this is the Chiefs game. Okay, let's be honest. I hate to say, I'm obviously not a Chiefs fan, but this is gonna be possibly a big blowout. I don't see the Giants really being able to. At least in the run game, I don't see Tyrone Tracy getting many opportunities. I don't see him producing very well in this game. This is going to be a game where Russell Wilson is going to have to do what he did last week and just continuously just pass it, and hopefully he gets another 450-yard game or whatever. But this is not the script for Tyrone Tracy. He's going to have a very rough day against the Kansas City Chiefs. And that's going to cap it off for the video. Make sure to like and subscribe. And again, if you want to join my sports betting Discord and community, click the link in my bio. I will see you guys next one. Peace out.